came up with what I call a dough ditty. Now you can call it whatever you want, but it allows you to remember how to do this. And here it goes. Water, salt, whisk, flour, yeast, mix. Water, salt, whisk, flour, yeast, mix. One more time. Water, salt, whisk, flour, yeast, mix. That's how you do it. And I'm going to go through it right now. One thing that I came up with is what I call a cheat cup. CHEAT, cheat cup. Everyone that wants one is going to get one from this class. You see there's a stack of them, 2 stacks of them over there. All you need to make this recipe is this cup. If you notice here, I have the flour up to the bottom line of this cup, and the water level is up to the top of the label. Also, the recipe is below the white line.
Nice, we're gonna do
Cabiche?
Capisco.
So, this recipe makes 3 doughs.
this.
3.
Nice.
And I call them schmediums. So they're not smalls, they're not mediums, I call them schmediums. Just for a laugh. They're 300 gram dough balls, so they're between a small and a medium size. Just so you guys know, to give you a reference, roughly 450 grams is about a pound, and that's a large dough, large pie, 16, 18 inches. I start with small pizzas, not because I'm cheap, but because I want to set you guys up for success. So if I start you out with making small pizzas, you're going to get confidence, you're going to want to be able to make large pizzas. The recipe I'm going to give you is for a small pizza. If you down the line say, hey Frank, I've gotten really good on these pizzas, I want a 16 or 18 inch or 20 inch pizza recipe, email me, I'll give you the recipe. This is not a taillight guarantee class. I will help you down the line if you need help. You'll have my cell phone, which you can text me, call me, or email me at any time. All I ask is be respectful of my time. 99.9% of the people are. Some people call me on a Saturday at 5 o'clock when I'm out with my family, and they basically demand that I help them right away. Those conversations don't end well. In a nice way. So here we go. Watch carefully. Obviously, this is a mixing bowl. For those that don't know, stainless steel. If you don't have a mixer, buy one. 350 grams of room temperature tap water, 350. 350 grams of room temperature tap water, 530 grams of bread flour. I did those on purpose because they're the same numbers just transposed. 350, 530, 350, 530. When you get the recipe card, or it's actually an image, it's going to say 357.3 grams of water and 527.5 grams of bread flour. I took a little bit of whatever you want to call it, liberty to make it 350 and 530 because it's easy. So, how many grams of water going in this bowl? 350. 350 grams of room temperature tap water, 2 teaspoons of sea salt, fine grind, or kosher salt. Norton. I do not get crazy with the measurements, just an FYI. You can get crazy, life's too short. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Tree. Whisk, water, salt, whisk. So we're going to take this. All we want to do is make sure that the water and salt are dissolved together. One of the tricks to make a New Haven style pizza is to pre-mix as much as you can. And you're going to see in a minute how we're going to do this. The mixer, the pre-mix is your friend, the mixer is your enemy. The more you mix, the tougher it gets.
Yeah.
That's why you want to pre-mix as much as possible. Yes, ma'am. Pre-mix means before it goes in the mixer.
Okay.
Next thing, how many grams of this?
530.
Correct. You guys got it.
Flour.
Smarty can.
I make those numbers up all the time. I don't remember exactly what they are. One other thing I forgot.
Oops.
I buy this by the brick because I use so much of it, so this is the only thing that I actually use kind of a level 1 teaspoon of. This is the instant dry yeast. 350 grams room temperature tap water, 2 teaspoons of salt, 530 grams of bread flour, 1 teaspoon of instant dry yeast. What you do not want to do is take this and dump it in the middle, because the thought process is pre-mix. So we're sprinkling it all around. I tell people all the time, when I get rich and famous, I'm gonna have a camera that comes down here and a big screen so you can see what I'm doing. But right now you just have to trust that I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm not used to having this guy around.
You made it.
I gotta have him around more often. So the next thing we're gonna do is take this spatula. I don't know about you guys, but it's something that I never really wanted to see. Because back in the day, my mother was a short little Irish
I
Catholic.
know where you're going.
Yeah, and so I got many of these spatula treatments. The other thing I got, which still to this day, I cannot use ivory soap because I used to get the soap in the mouth.
Irish Spring.
Well, I use Irish Spring now, but ivory soap, can't do it.
Ivory's even worse, it's dry.
Yeah.
You have something in common then.
So basically, we take this spatula. Notice that it's got kind of a curve or bevel to it. What I do is and I'm doing this to show you, I don't mix it outside the bowl. I'm not a magician. But I take it and I go around the bowl. That's how I mix this. So what this does is it mimics a mixer, and 2, it cuts down on what they call bowl residual. Bowl residual is all the stuff that gets stuck on the side of the bowl. If you're making chocolate chip cookies, you want bowl residual because you like to have a little bit of the mix before it goes in. Making pizza, you do not. So here we go. All I'm doing is literally this spatula is spinning on my finger. I shouldn't say that. My finger's spinning on the spatula. Yeah, loose grip.
Got it.
So once all the water has been incorporated into the mix, I'm done mixing. And I'm going to show you in a minute. So what I've been doing is going like this, around the bowl. Now, with that method, there's always going to be some flour that gets stuck on the bottom. So when I'm done pre-mixing, going around the bowl, I take this and I just go over and under a couple times to get all the flour from the bottom. So this is called the pre-mix, and we're done. This dough is wet. There's a lot of water in it. New Haven style pizza dough is called high hydration. I'm not going to get super much into the technical side of it, but to give you an example, the water in a New York pizza is low 60s percentage. Everything is a percentage of flour. So if you did the math, if someone has a calculator and you divided 530 into 350, it'd be roughly 68, 70%. The reason why I'm telling you that is because one of the biggest questions I get asked after class when people start actually making this dough is, Frank, it was really watery. And I say, great, you did a good job. Because it's supposed to be. When I say watery, wet. It's a wet, sticky dough. That's what it is. So, BULK, bulk dough. You had a question?
With the yeast, there's no like setting it aside, rising, or any of that?
No, that's the whole beauty of instant dry yeast, is that it just goes right in. We're not going to have a big long yeast conversation, but I will tell you quickly, there's instant dry yeast, active dry yeast, and baker's or cake yeast. I do not, if I had my own pizzeria, I'd use baker's and cake yeast because that's probably a fresher yeast. It's going to give you a little bit better rise, maybe a little bit better taste. But the problem is that they sell it in what looks like a brick. And for this recipe, you use about this much. So you'd be buying this whole brick of yeast that you literally would throw away unless you started your own pizza business. So instant dry yeast is really good. I've actually done it with all the different yeast. This is the best, and it's just the easiest.